Welcome to Adelaide. You're watching Well Traveled Life with Jonathan and Jennifer Graham, and we are in the capital of South Australia. With only 1.8 million people in the whole state and 1.3 million of them living in Adelaide, it is considered a big country town. Just 3,600 kilometers from Antarctica, Adelaide has a reputation for being both the hottest and the coldest city in the country.
The reason why South Australia is hot, we sit right on a desert pretty well, just on about 500 kilometres from a desert.
Cruise passengers arriving in Adelaide aren't actually arriving in Adelaide. The port is on the coastline, and Adelaide is actually just a bit inland from that. Immediately off the ship, there isn't a whole lot to do, but there is a train across the street from the port terminal, and that will get you both to Port Adelaide, which is the nearest suburb of Adelaide, about 19 minutes away, and to the city of Adelaide, which is about a 40-minute ride. From the dock at Outer Harbour, you can walk across and grab the train. It will run every 30 minutes, and there's a great deal for cruise passengers in particular. You can purchase an all-day train pass or a Metro card, and it will give you free access on bus, trains, and trams throughout the area for $10, and that's a full day of travel for $10. You must use a credit card to purchase that, and you must purchase it in person at the train station, but it's a great deal. And if you're an Australian resident, it's only $5 for that day pass. Adelaide is a progressive city with an interesting history. It is the only city to have not been settled by convicts. They therefore did not build a jail. They believed they were law-abiding people and didn't need one, but there is now a prison in Adelaide. But as a progressive city, Adelaide was the first to recognize Aboriginal land rights, women's right to vote, and sexual freedom. As far as things to do in Adelaide, there's an awful lot, and it's a pretty city, but they are known as the 20-minute city, meaning that you can get from one side of the city to the other walking in just 20 minutes. Stops you may want to make while you're there: Chinatown. You can do a roof climb over the Adelaide Oval, a stadium with rooftop seating, St. Peter's Cathedral and the renowned choir, St. Francis Xavier Cathedral, which actually was begun in 1856 but did not get completed until 1996. You also have Hayes Chocolates. There's a factory and a number of outlets throughout the city, but you can find one at the Central Market. And if you're willing to go just a bit out of the way, we're going to take you on a tour around Adelaide to some of the outlying areas. You have Hondorf, which is a German town in the Adelaide Hills, and you can get there by taking the 864 bus. You have the McClaren Vale, which is the wine country. You can get there by cab. Known for their white grapes and their cellar doors. Those are wineries that are open for you to come and do tastings. There are over 200 cellar doors in the Adelaide Hills. If you can get to the Mount Lofty summit, you'll get great views. The Mount Lofty Botanic Gardens, not to be confused with the Adelaide Botanic Gardens, which are back in the northern part of the city of Adelaide. Around Adelaide, there's an awful lot to do, so we're going to take you on a tour of the Fleurieu Peninsula.
Our name is Wes Wallace, and I'm South Australian tour guide. I go all around South Australia. I go over there, York Peninsula, Eyre Peninsula, and we went to the Fleurieu Peninsula today. Some are more dramatic than others. Huge cliffs and islands and seals and different whales, orcas and blues and fin whales and all sorts of different things. And some have koalas, some don't. And some have wombats and emus and camels, wild horses. Yeah, so they change from as you get further and further away from Adelaide. The wildlife, birds and the animals, the kangaroos and whatnot, koalas today, but they're a bit more elusive. And the scenery, the islands out the coast and that sort of stuff. Always wanted to get into tourism, and went to SA Tourism, said, where's the whole market? I said, this is what I want to do. I want to go down the coast. Actually, a friend from Texas. I took him down to these places where I surf and dive and fish, and he said, you should take tours down these places. And I said, what for? So he said, what do you mean what for? It's beautiful down here. You should be taking people down there. So I thought, I'll put something together, and the rest is history, I suppose. Yeah, the last 5 to 10 years we've been travelling down there, but I've been travelling down those spots all my life with it. Now I take the family down there surfing and fishing and whatnot, so now I take people down there.
Where we stopped in the Stringy Bark Forest, which is a great place for bird watching and great hikes. We saw wild kangaroos. At the Urimbirra Wildlife Rescue Park, we had lots of fun with Aussie natives. We got to pet koalas.
So Ollie is our male, he's on the far side. He's 5, he was born at the Gorge Wildlife Park, which is at the top of Adelaide. And the one on this side is Missy, and she's 14, and she came from another wildlife park, but she's been in captivity for about 10 years after being hit by a couple of cars. So she lives with us now. They're just koalas. Koalas eat leaves and they sleep. They sleep 20 to 22 hours a day. Koalas don't do a lot. They're very cute, but they have very sharp teeth and they have very sharp claws. But yeah, they eat and sleep. That's pretty much all koalas do. So, alright, so I just want to tell you a fun fact. Koalas have the most similar fingerprints to humans out of any of the animals in the whole world. So koalas are the best and the most similar to us.
We had causeries eating out of our hands.
You will go to a little wildlife sanctuary. Today we'll go there, and they've got a cassowary. Yeah, the most dangerous bird in the world. They can't fly, they're like emus, but you get them out in the wild, they'll chase you and they jump up and disembowel you with it. They've got like a knitting needle on the inside of their leg. They're native to Cairns and Papua New Guinea. You don't want to see them in the wild.
Played with peacocks. Cavorting with kangaroos. ambled around with the alligators. Got up close to the crocodiles. And we got attacked by an eagle. Australia is a great place for wildlife sightings. It's close to the outback, but you've also got some beautiful beach towns along the way.
So this town's called Yankalilla. It's an indigenous word for oyster. About 180 different languages.
Yankalilla may mean oyster, but we saw cockatiel. There are many segments of the Wild South Coast Way, including the Deep Creek Waterfall and the Deep Creek Cove. You can begin those hikes in Tapanapa or just stop for the views. The Wild South Coast Way is a multi-day walking tour that allows you to hike either a full 5 days, 4 nights, or to do sections and parts. It takes you all along the coastline from Cape Jervis all the way to Victor Harbor.
Kangaroo Island is 180 kilometres long and 60 kilometres wide for our YouTube friends. There's a few animals over there not found anywhere else in the world. A few different seals, birds, a Kangaroo Island kangaroo, a subspecies of the kangaroo. So this is called Second Valley. Don't ask me where First Valley is. No one knows that.
A stop at the Encounter Marine Park is great for views of the ocean and the beach, but even more beautiful from under the water, as it is a popular scuba diving spot.
Alpacas, they put them in with the lambs because they keep the foxes away, and the snakes won't go near them either. They're aggressive. They got a bad attitude. Yeah, the foxes won't go near them, and they spit at you and all sorts, kick you, try to bite you.
Victor Harbor lies at one end of the Wild Coast Trail, and it is one of those cool beachy towns where you just want to pick up some fish and chips and a beer, sit by the ocean, watch people and the world go by.
On my own, I'll be surfing and then diving for abalone and crayfish. Yeah. Bring your bathers, go in the water, dry off, go to some little coastal towns, get a cold beer, sit on the look out at the sea and watch the world go past.
Do country things, yeah. So I'd go to the small towns. I'd go to Murray Bridge and look at the river and do all those things. Go to Madam and go on a ferry and do all the out of the city things.
We hope you've had a great visit to Adelaide. Please watch our other videos around Australia.